Hi everybody, Bulk Hungry here. We are at the Heartland Museum of Military Vehicles. This is located in central Nebraska, right off Interstate 80, exit 237, Lexington, Nebraska. Yeah, this is one of my favorite places to come when I'm by here, and they're open. As you can see, they do have truck parking over there. It's limited, but it is here. So it affords me the opportunity to come check some of this stuff out, which I always really enjoy, into this kind of stuff. So I thought I'd give us a quick little tour here. This is the M2 Bradley Infantry Fighting Vehicle. And as you can see, it's rather large and in charge. I don't pretend to be an expert on this stuff. I've never been in the Army. I do enjoy learning about these kind of things, and I've always had an interest in items such as this. I'll tell you what I do know about, and I'll try to shut up about what I don't know about. For starters, this is basically a support vehicle, primarily to the M1 Abrams tank, currently being used in Afghanistan and Iraq. On the side there, that little box you see is a TOW missile launcher, and it contains 2 TOW missiles. I believe it is reloaded from the rear, although I'm not positive. And see, some of the versions, oh, here we go. This version does have gun ports. You see those little holes there? Those are ports meant for the crew to be able to stick out their M16 or M4 rifle barrels through the ports, and utilizing these periscopes here on either side, actually be able to somewhat see the target and fire at it. Right here you have the driver hatch, and as you can see, it's got 4 little periscope windows. Interesting. Underneath here, this is the engine hatch. Right there, I believe that is a, I'm going to be wrong here, I believe it is a 35mm Bushmaster autocannon, although I could be wrong on that. Like I said, I'm not exactly an expert, but I'll tell you what I think I do know. And this is a pretty cool vehicle. This is not one of the up-armored versions they're currently using, due to the roadside bombs, etc., etc. The IEDs that terrorists have been using over the past several years. They've had to really up-armor, so they've gotten a lot heavier and thicker than this particular example here. Next over here, we have an M113, and apparently this one is an A1. This is basically an armored personnel carrier, and to my understanding, it is, the armor is aluminum, which they kind of have a reputation for not being the safest armored vehicle to be in because of that. But again, it is my understanding they are currently still using these, and I apologize for the wind here. They are, of course, the up-armored versions are what they are using nowadays. And over here we have, let me see what the heck this thing is here. It's a tracked vehicle, I can tell you that. There is no plate on it. So this is kind of where my expertise runs out. I'm sure some of you watching will probably know exactly what these 2 vehicles are. It appears to be some type of tracked utility vehicle or personnel carrier. Next up, Sherman tank, M4 Sherman tank, and made famous during World War II. Went up against Hitler's tanks and were outgunned and out-armored, but still managed to prevail due to greater numbers and simpler operation and maintenance than the overcomplicated German tanks, which were admittedly really good, but sometimes quantity outdoes quality, and that is the case in this particular instance. Let's see, what the heck kind of gun does that have? I know it is smaller than the 88s the Germans use. Let me walk around here to this side. Let's see, we got a 76mm or 3-inch gun with a maximum range of 16,000 yards and would penetrate 4 inches of hardened armor at 1,000 yards. The tank weighed 34 tons, powered by a Ford GAA gasoline V8, and it had a top speed of 28 miles per hour. Now, if you'll notice, this tank, compared to, say, the M60 Patton tank, has a much higher profile, yet it's a much smaller tank. And that's something you'll notice in my observations, that as the tanks progressed throughout the years, they worked on getting a lower and lower profile, so as to present a much smaller target to the enemy. So, as you can see, the Sherman over there is really tall, but it's not a very large tank as tanks go. Here we go. This one has a little placard. It's the same as the other two, I believe, basically over there. This is the M458 6-ton tracked cargo carrier. It was made by the same company that assembled and created the 113, and that would be FMC. And 27,480 pounds fully loaded. It was used in Vietnam and Desert Storm, and the later version of this vehicle, the M548A1, is still in use at present. And many of the originals were rebuilt as M548A1s. And the military is doing that a lot nowadays. It really cuts down in cost. They just basically take the same chassis and everything, and they redo the whole thing, electronics, engine, you know, etc., etc. This one here, this is actually not a tank. This is a self-propelled howitzer. This is an 8-inch howitzer. Otherwise, I believe this is what, a 155mm. And I'm not exactly, like I said, an expert by any stretch. I do know a little, so that's what I think I know. And feel free to correct me on the comments. And here we go. Got another Bradley over here. And this one, the tow missile launcher is actually tilted up and in the locked and ready to fire position. That's basically what it looks like. For those of you who don't know what a tow missile is, a tow missile is generally a ground-to-ground wire-guided missile system in which the user fires it, and as long as he keeps the target reticle on the target, even if the target moves, the missile will follow the target and make the hit. And it is remote controlled essentially by the wire electronically, and that is how that works basically. And so again, now this one doesn't have the gun ports on this side. It looks like they've been sealed off, and there's supposed to be a gun port in that rear door. This is also a drop down hatch. The whole back of it drops down. It makes like a ramp, or you can just make your entrance and egress through this door here, the little oval door. And for those of you wondering, yeah, the gun ports have been sealed up on this side too. For those of you wondering, really none of these tanks or armored vehicles are, they're not built for big people. They're generally very, very tight inside and very cramped, and if you're tall or wide, let's just say that it presents a little bit of maneuverability and issues there. Okay, I'm about out of time on this one. I'm going to stop it, and we'll pick it up here in the next segment. And this has been Bulk Hungry. Thanks for watching, thanks for rating, and we'll finish off these vehicles in the next segment.